One of the most influential musicians of all time passed away this past week. As neo-soul R&B artist D'Angelo transitioned at the age of 51. D'Angelo wasn't just an artist. He was a movement that reminded an entire generation what soul music sounded like. And he did it at the cost of his own mental health and eventually his career in the mainstream. Back in the mid-90s, R&B was at the forefront of music, dominated by radio love songs and polished images for the artists that were presented by the record labels. But little did they know that there was a 21-year-old kid from Richmond, Virginia that grew up playing music for the church and arrived with his first album, Brown Sugar. In 1995, it completely shifted the conversation. It was a gospel-rooted, Prince-inflected, Marvin Gaye-channeled sound, but made clearly still with some hip-hop influences. And with that taking place during what's widely regarded as the golden era of hip-hop, it caught fire like a match. It was live instrumentation, vulnerability, and gave birth to what eventually would be called a neo-soul sound. You might have heard some of his peers that also contributed to this movement: Erykah Badu, Lauryn Hill, The Roots. And the best way I can describe it is a sound that fuses R&B, funk, jazz, and a hip-hop spirit into a sound that feels like it came straight from the earth, as it became a cultural home for artistry that didn't fit the mold of what record labels were pushing at the time. Record labels eventually caught on and started pushing that sound, and now, with money in your pocket to go as far as you want in terms of pushing that sound, then came the album that would end up defining D'Angelo's career. An album by the name of Voodoo. Recorded live with famous Roots drummer Questlove and several phenomenal contributors behind the scenes, it became a perfectly imperfect album. If you're enjoying this clip from my podcast, Behold Pop Culture, you can find the link to the full episode in the description below. Like and subscribe for more content like this. And that's most clearly represented by the fact that the biggest song on the album is called Untitled. All D'Angelo cared about was the quality of the music and expressing himself. On these songs, the drum would sit behind the beat, the bass had room to breathe, and every music rule that he broke was deliberate, allowing D'Angelo to make a more radically intimate feel. But as I emphasize the words raw, vulnerable, truth, deliberate, these themes were responsible for the rapid rise and eventually rapid fall of D'Angelo. Because when you give that much of yourself up publicly within your music, you then allow the world to start to define who you are. People can interpret, review, do what I'm doing now, tell a story for you. And if it doesn't align with what you believe about yourself, an internal conflict can start to brew. And that's exactly what happened for D'Angelo. With Voodoo being backed by a record label, they were able to dictate what image he had to push to the masses. And that became a shirtless, sensual, soft-spoken man aimed at redefining masculinity within R&B. While that seemed like he was turning his vulnerability into power, the attention and objectification that followed caused him to completely withdraw from music. After Voodoo, he disappeared for 15 years, with fans begging for someone who seemed to capture a greatness close to what people view from Prince to come back and deliver more greatness. So even though during this time he had his own battles with addiction, loss, and disillusionment, he would return 15 years later with the album Black Messiah, a political, spiritual, and emotional comeback that was inspired by his personal search for truth in the world amidst politically tumultuous times. It was once again a well-received album that inspired many people in the music scene. But that's not the lesson in this. The lesson is the fact that he turned down all the fame and riches and superstardom that he was on track for because he lost the source of his music. That is an extremely difficult road to travel down for any form of artistry, whether that be music, film, painting. His commitment to only producing art when he had an actual experience and spiritual reflection to pull from, became a North Star for the artist to follow. As you can see the generation that was influenced by him. Frank Ocean creating one of the greatest R&B albums of all time with Blonde and being relatively quiet afterwards. SZA has become one of the biggest artists in the R&B world and has only 2 major projects. But those 2 feel so raw, so inspired, that she doesn't need to be the best singer in the world. She doesn't need to have the best production in the world. But the actual lyrics that she writes echoes a cloth of writing like a hip hop artist, wanting to pull every intricate lyric that you can possibly create. D'Angelo helped usher in a space for artists to be unafraid, to be experimental, emotionally raw, and unintentionally timeless. The plight of juggling art versus fame is one that only a chosen few will face in their lifetime. But to me, art is as great as the people that it inspires. The reason an album is amazing is because of the impact it has on people. The reason a painting is worth millions of dollars is because there's millions of people or people with millions of dollars who appreciate it. So when I look at D'Angelo and appreciate how he influenced modern production and the way that people approach music today, I take it as a moment for you to consider, why are your favorite artists your favorite? Is it because you just hear their songs all the time? Is it because they had a song or an album that resonated deeply with you at a moment in time? Every time you create art, you're giving a piece of yourself away, whether that's to 1 listener or 1 billion. So when I say I enjoy an album, I might have an appreciation for the effort that I believe was put into an album. I might resonate personally with experiences that are being described. There's a litany of possible options for why you might resonate with someone's art. But when you understand how much some of these artists give up to create these universal experiences that can transcend pop culture, the least we can do is express respect and gratitude for the work that they do. So like millions of other people, I say rest in peace to D'Angelo as he transitions onward, and appreciate him for what his art contributed to the world.